Every brand wants it. And what they want is that it factor, the thing that makes their product connect to consumers. So, who will become the king of cannabis?
And I'm thinking, how can we build a story more about Edison?
Today's Mad Men marketers see billions of dollars up for grabs, but here's the challenge. They have to create a brand in a space where brands don't even exist yet.
There's no legacy information for us to refer to in terms of how do we build this.
And regulations? They still haven't been nailed down.
It's like we're building the plane in the air.
Oh yeah, and there's only a few months to get to market.
Think about how many times in your life you get to be a part of something that's so fundamentally new.
The story of how they got here to this, the most anticipated product launch in a lifetime, well, you can forgive them if it all feels like a bit of a haze now. All right. Well, tell me, how excited are you about the possibilities of recreational cannabis?
Well, I don't think we could be any more excited.
This is Ray Gracewood, former beer boss turned cannabis crusader for Organogram, already a leading producer of medicinal marijuana out of Moncton. One strategy, one brand for Gracewood and Organogram: go for the high-end consumer, no pun intended. To attract them to their premium product, they turn to a Toronto branding agency.
You guys grab your seat, let's get going.
From the beginning, Organogram gives them a near impossible task.
We don't have 2.5 years to bring this to market. We've got 2.5 months.
That's a tight turnaround, but that's not all.
We still haven't been given formal direction from Health Canada on a lot of the regulatory things that we need to know.
At least they know the direction they want to take.
When we think about marijuana leaves and we think about, bong loads, this is not that brand.
They just love the vibe that is what we're trying to build here, which is all about that 70s vibe, that classic cannabis culture.
In another part of town, they've already got the party started. Licensed producer Med Relief is launching one of their recreational brands. That's Darren Karuziak, VP of Strategy for Med Relief. Yes, he's holding a bong with beer in it.
So, who remembers a lot about the 70s?
It's March, months before cannabis is legalized, so you can't launch a cannabis product, but you can launch the brand.
This is the beer that we did with Amsterdam. That was a really innovative way to kind of build the brand, obviously.
And that brand is San Rafael 71, a nod to the birthplace of the early pot-smoking movement. Karuziak's new beer has no cannabis in it, but get this, it sure tastes like marijuana.
Finding ways, innovative ways to get the message out, to build awareness without an actual product. We can't sell that yet, right? When we are allowed to actually sell the product legally, they'll remember these things.
Bob Marley would be so proud.
Well, this is our head office, our global headquarters.
This is where it all happens.
It is.
Karuziak, that guy with the bong, he's actually a serious businessman, an MBA, who's in charge of rolling out several rec brands under one of the top medical marijuana producers in the country. And where do you fit in terms of producers in Canada?
The second largest by revenue.
Sometimes people will say, I can buy pot legally, and they almost giggle when they say it.
We really need to do our best from a branding perspective, from an advertising, from a packaging perspective, to help make this something that non-consumers can understand and can really make informed decisions about, so they stop giggling about it and think about it in the same way as they do beverage alcohol.
Is this going to make a lot of people rich?
Well, it's completely, and pardon the pun, it's completely greenfield. It's we have this great opportunity, once in a lifetime, I would say, in terms of shaping what an industry looks like.
So just remind us exactly what the key points of the brief are.
Creative, sophisticated, premium, and quality.
Let's see if we can find
Back at Organogram's branding agency, they're on the search for inspiration. They analyze,
a little bit of off-white.
they sort, and they ponder hundreds of existing brands. They need the look,
Good one.
And that takes a lot of refining.
Okay.
Now it's up to Chris Wu to drill down on a design.
Almost like writer's block, or sometimes you're like, okay, I know I have a story to tell, but how do I write it or get it down on paper? All your information on this, we don't know if that's going to change up until the day they're going to release it, so we don't know what the rules are, which is a little bit challenging.
What he eventually comes up with all gets refined.
So I guess the first thing I started to look at is sort of identities.
Did you ever consider taking the logo and putting it inside and replacing the O in Edison?
That could be interesting.
And refined again.
I think other ones deliver better on quality and innovation.
Yeah.
And refined again.
My head is in this illumination idea.
And refined some more.
The option 3 to me is my preference. But yeah, there's some really, really cool stuff in here.
Hey, great. It's a wrap.
There, finally, decision made. And then this.
One of the key elements that we are proposing today is a warning label for all cannabis products and strict regulations on plain packaging and labeling that provide Canadians a first view of what kind of packages that will be allowed for cannabis products.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a serious buzzkill.
So you like this?
I did, yeah.
And then Ottawa comes along and says, no,
yeah,
you got to do this.
I know.
What do you make of it?
It was shocking. It was shocking. I mean, we spent a lot of time on this, put a lot of work into it.
And now this.
I know. It was like a punch in the gut.
I thought it was a misstep. I think I was disappointed by that. I was disappointed by the fact that this brand new industry, that is going to be the first impression to the consumer of something like that. I think it prohibits us from really being effective in differentiating ourselves, not just from the black market, but also from my competition.
There's very limited.
So much for the sexy packaging, but they forge on to yet another meeting as time ticks away.
We've chosen navy as the primary color behind.
Prepping more ideas than they need, knowing pending regulation will weed most of them out.
But if we can do 20% of it, then there's the potential that we might be 20% ahead of the rest of the competitive set.
When we talk about cannabis, there's THC and there's CBD, right? I take it every day in a capsule form.
Are you doing much work with licensed producers now?
With a few months to go before launch, the ground game is all the more important now. At this trade show, companies from across the country vying to sell you cannabis, and there are a lot of them, are on full display.
It's like we're at this precipice of brands coming alive.
Who would have thought, a couple of years ago that this would be this? We're being part of a history here. Yeah, it's cool. It's very cool. I like what they got going on there.
The strategy here, build brand recognition one customer at a time. But it can be difficult to stand out from the pack, which makes you think maybe that beer bong idea a few months back wasn't such a harebrained kind of idea after all.
We were the first out there in terms of really having a recreational brand in the marketplace. I'm not going to be critical of what my competition is doing because we're all trying to do something new and exciting and innovative.
Over at Organogram, the thinking seems to be evolving from this
packaging is going to be absolutely critically important
to this.
A brand goes far beyond just its packaging.
The thinking now, educate consumers about cannabis.
Hemp is so functional,
So they hit up festivals and set up pop-up shops to do just that.
We're allowed to provide educational services and talk to people about the legalization of cannabis within Canada, and also just do what we can to sort of talk about the Edison brand and get people prepared for October 17th.
As you talk to any educator, it's not about standing up in front of a classroom and delivering a lecture. It's about doing it in an interpretive, innovative way, right? That's how people best learn. We're also doing it in such a way as to kind of, entertain people in that context of what the brand is all about.
And now it is showtime, where they can enjoy the fruits of their labor, or at least the consumer can, These guys are looking for the next way to get a marketing edge.
Like, I know what's next, right? The hard work is going to continue. This is just the early days of this whole thing. So I've already kind of turned my mind to what my expectations are for months and years from now.
It's going to be the nature of our industry to evolve and reinvent itself time and time again, and we've done a good job of planting the seeds of what the Edison brand is all about. But I think at the same time, it's only just begun.
Yes, the quest for the consumer's cannabis dollar will continue, and you'll have plenty of brands to choose from. So whose pitch is the best? Well, you get to decide that. Tom Murphy, CBC News.
Now, just to give you a sense of just how quickly this industry is evolving, during production of our story, one of those companies was swallowed up in what may be the biggest pot deal in history. MedRelief, which created the San Rafael 71 brand, was acquired by Aurora Cannabis. That was a competing producer. And that is a deal worth $2.5 billion. They will have advertising rules they'll have to follow, though, with some exceptions. But the broad strokes, they can't tell you the price. They can't advertise to young people. There will be no testimonials or endorsements. And they can't associate their brand with glamour, recreation, excitement, or risk.